The World Cup doesn't sleep. It doesn't breathe. It doesn't take a day off. And if you blinked today, you missed goals, upsets, heartbreak, and a goalkeeping performance that will be talked about for the rest of this tournament. This is your FIFA World Cup 2026 Daily Breakdown. Every goal, every stat, every story that matters. Let's get into it. We start in Group F, and we start with a statement. Japan 4, Tunisia 0. 4 goals. That is not a scoreline. That is a declaration of intent from one of the most disciplined sides at this entire tournament. Let's paint the picture. Kickoff has barely settled. 4 minutes in, 4 minutes, and Japan are already ahead. Before Tunisia's fans had even found their seats, before the stadium DJ had finished his playlist, Japan were celebrating. That kind of early strike is more than just a goal. It is a psychological hammer blow, and Tunisia never recovered. The second arrived on 31 minutes. Japan were methodical, composed, and completely in control of the tempo. Tunisia had just 3 total shots in this entire match. 3. Japan, by contrast, put 5 attempts on target alone and dominated 57% of the ball. This wasn't a contest. It was a masterclass in how to suffocate an opponent. The third goal arrived in the 69th minute, and at that point, Tunisia were a shell of a side, making desperate substitutions trying to find some way back in. And in the 83rd minute, Japan added the fourth, the final nail, completing a performance that belongs in the highlight reel of this World Cup. Names to know from Japan's lineup? Ritsu Doan pulling the strings in midfield, Daichi Kamada with that creative energy between the lines, Ayase Ueda leading the line with purpose. This is a squad built on collective brilliance, and collectively, they were brilliant today. Tunisia leave this match with 0 points from 2 games. They need a miracle in their final group fixture. Japan, meanwhile, are co-leaders of Group F on 4 points alongside the Netherlands. The Blue Samurai are not just here to make up the numbers, they are here to win. Now, normally we move from one result to the next and the numbers tell the story. But sometimes the numbers lie. Ecuador 0, Curaçao 0. A draw, a goalless draw. On paper, that sounds like a boring, forgettable affair. Forget everything you think you know, because this was one of the most extraordinary matches of the entire tournament so far. Ecuador had 26 shots. 26! 15 of those were directly on target. 15 shots on target, and they did not score. That is not bad luck. That is one goalkeeper having the match of his life. Eloy Room, the Curaçao #1, made 13 saves. 13! He was a one-man wall. At times it seemed physically impossible that Ecuador were not scoring. Shots from inside the box, headers, long-range efforts, Room stopped them all. He pulled saves out of thin air. This was a goalkeeping performance for the ages at a World Cup, and it kept his tiny island nation in the tournament. Curaçao also received 5 yellow cards in the match. 5! They were cynical, they were desperate, they threw everything they had into that wall of resistance. Ecuador had 75% of the ball, Ecuador had 9 corner kicks, Ecuador had the game completely in their hands and could not find the net. For Ecuador, this is a crisis. 1 point from 2 matches, sitting 3rd in Group E. Germany have already wrapped up 6 points at the top, which means Ecuador need a result in their final group game just to have a chance of progressing. Ener Valencia was on the pitch, Gonzalo Plata was on the pitch, Moises Caicedo was controlling midfield, and none of it was enough. Sometimes football is just cruel, and sometimes a goalkeeper just will not let you win. From one dramatic night to the most dramatic finish of them all. Germany 2, Ivory Coast 1. And the way this one unfolded? Oh, this is what the World Cup is made of. Germany came into this match as favorites. Manuel Neuer in goal, Florian Wirtz on the ball, Jamal Musiala weaving through defenses, Joshua Kimmich commanding from the back. On paper, this was supposed to be a controlled, professional German performance. Then, Ivory Coast had other ideas. On 30 minutes, the Elephants struck. a goal that silenced the German end and sent the Ivory Coast supporters into absolute rapture. Amad Diallo and that front line causing havoc, and suddenly Germany were chasing the game at halftime, down 1-0 against a side ranked significantly below them. This was not in the script. The German manager made a substitution at the break, and the team responded. You could feel the shift in the second half as Germany pressed higher, moved quicker, created more. And in the 68th minute, the equalizer arrived, 1-1, back on level terms, and the match was alive again. Then Germany made 3 changes in the 60th minute, a triple substitution that completely changed the energy of the game. Hassan Ouedraogo came on, fresh legs in midfield, and Germany began to suffocate Ivory Coast. They had 8 corner kicks in the match, 16 total shots, 7 on target. The pressure was constant. Ivory Coast, to their enormous credit, resisted and resisted. And then the 90th minute arrived, stoppage time. Germany in the final seconds, and they scored. The winner, 2-1. Germany, ice-cold, disciplined, relentless, finding the goal when it mattered most. That is the mentality of a World Cup winner. Germany topped Group E on 6 points from 2 games. Perfect record. And the message to the rest of the tournament is simple. We're here and we mean business. Now, let's look at what is still to come today, because the drama is far from finished. Spain versus Saudi Arabia is the match on everyone's lips right now, and it carries enormous weight in Group H. Spain sit on just 1 point after their opening draw, and that is a number that does not sit well for a nation with their pedigree. La Roja, with all the technical quality they possess, the passing combinations, the positional mastery, need a win today, and they need it convincingly to get their campaign back on track. Saudi Arabia, meanwhile, are also sitting on 1 point. This is a genuine must-win situation for both sides. Whoever loses today finds themselves in serious danger of an early exit. The odds heavily favor Spain, nearly 90% according to the pre-match projections, but we just watched Curaçao hold Ecuador scoreless for 90 minutes. In this World Cup, nothing is guaranteed. Then Belgium and Iran kick off in Group G, a match that is wide open. Belgium came into this tournament carrying enormous expectation, but they could only manage a draw in their first outing. Iran are not here to make up the numbers. Group G currently has all 4 teams on 1 point apiece, which means this match is effectively a cup final already. And Uruguay face Cape Verde later today in Group H. Uruguay, the 2-time world champions, are another side that has not found their stride yet, also sitting on 1 point. And Cape Verde are the kind of compact, well-organized African side that can hurt you if you are not switched on from the first whistle. 3 massive matches, 3 different stories, and every single one of them could reshape their group completely. Let's take a breath and look at the bigger picture. Germany and Japan are the 2 sides that have looked most convincing in this tournament so far, winning with authority, with style, with depth. Mexico and the USA are both sitting on 6 points in their respective groups, running away from the competition. And in the middle of all of this, we have group stages that are tighter and more unpredictable than anyone could have scripted. This World Cup 2026 is already delivering the kind of theater that reminds you why billions of people around this planet care so deeply about this sport. Eloy Room made 13 saves in a draw. Germany scored in the 90th minute to win. Japan put 4 past Tunisia before most people had finished their first coffee. This is matchday football at the highest level, and every single day brings something new. We will be back tomorrow with more goals, more drama, and more of the stories that only the beautiful game can write. Until then, stay with the game.